Hey there, everybody. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another concert review. And as it seems to be quite a lot lately, in the co-captain's chair is none other than Mr. Eric Porter. You've seen him over on the guitarist corner and on In the Prague seat, and we've gone to a few shows together of late. So welcome, my friend.
It was good to see you last night. I know we got a couple more coming too, so
Right.
it'll be fun, but good show.
Absolutely. So the show we're talking about was Wishboneash. That's right. The legendary British band Wishboneash played at the Egg, the smaller venue in the Egg. There's two theaters in the Egg. This was the smaller, like 450 seat capacity theater. I forget what it's called.
Sawyer Theater, I think.
Sawyer Theater, Sawyer Hall,
Yeah.
something like that. And that is in the Empire State Plaza in the capital of New York, Albany, New York. There you go. And this was my second time seeing them in the last probably 4 or 5 years. I saw them a year or two before the pandemic, and that was at the Town Crier in Beacon, New York. So it's kind of cool seeing them in this room. And I hadn't seen a show in this room since Renaissance, probably about a decade ago at least, if not a little bit more than that. Might even be longer than that. I really like the Egg a lot, whether it's the bigger room or the smaller room. I think the acoustics are great. It's comfortable. And is it me, or is like when the bands play at this place, they seem to really enjoy it?
They always say that. I feel lucky because I've seen a ton of shows. That's kind of my place. It's kind of the go-to. In both halls, I think the bigger one's just under 1,000, and this one, like you said, is around 450. But I've never been anywhere that sounds as good as that place. And as long as they've got somebody good on the soundboard, it always sounds great. And like you said, I think Andy even said we'd love to come back here because I don't think we've ever played there before.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever played there before. He would know better than us, right? So
That's for sure.
Yeah, but it's a really cool place. Like I said, it's well run. The folks who work there are very pleasant, very helpful, and I think just for whatever reason, when fans go to a show there, everybody's very respectful of the place, of the band, and of each other, that you don't see some of the shenanigans you might see in other places. And the sound is always really good. And I was in like third row yesterday, which was amazing. Again, not a big part.
I bought my tickets 2 years ago, and you were closer than I was.
I just went online and I saw what was available. I'm like, I don't know, it was like 20 something bucks. I was like, all right, that looks great right up front. I'm like, hey, it was cool. And I wish more people were there, obviously, but I think that we're still seeing hesitancy, here in COVID, which is still out there. So we're not seeing as many people as we would like at some of these shows. I was trying to do like a little count last night, and I think it was somewhere around 100 people.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah. So, but they played a great set, and for all of us older folks, the show started at 7:30 on the dot. They came walking in. There was no other band, and they played about a 95-minute set and then an encore. So the whole show was over by 9:18 or 9:20, something like that. I was already in the elevator, walking to the garage in my car. I think I was pulling out of Empire Plaza and back on 787. It was like 9:31. Can't beat that, right?
No, not at all.
So, as we know, 1972, the Argus album came out. So they're celebrating 50 years of Argus. I kind of thought they might play the whole album, which they did not do, but we got 4 songs, which can't complain about that. They kicked it off with the instrumental track, the title track of the Bonafide album, and then they followed that up with another track from the Bonafide album, Enigma. What I thought was really cool about, with the exception of the Argus songs, and another song we'll talk about in a few minutes, they pick stuff from like all these different albums that are fairly obscure albums for them, I think, which is kind of neat. So we got Bonafide and Enigma starting it off, and then the really great track Eyes Wide Open. And your thoughts on the first 3 songs? Again, none of those 3 songs are staple Wishboneash songs.
Well, I talked to you before we got on here, and I was telling you how I'm very casual. I have Argus, New England, front page news. I only have 3, maybe there's a 4th one. I really liked Enigma. I love that delay in the beginning of that. I came home, I've been listening to, is it California to Kawasaki? All day. all day. And I asked you, I said, I got to get a live album but Bonafide was a great opener, I thought. And it got me thinking about Thin Lizzy, Boston, Maiden, all these bands that have the dual guitars and how much I love it.
Yeah.
But Wishbone Ash has always kind of been, yeah, I know who they are. I got a couple things. Right out of the gate, those first 3 songs, I'm like, let's go. I thought they kicked it off really good.
Yeah, really good. And we probably should remind everybody who's in the band, or tell everybody, because some people probably don't know. So the only original member that's in the band still is Andy Powell on lead guitars and lead vocals. We've got Bob Skeet on bass and backing vocals, and he's been in the band now since '97. And then we got 2 newer guys. So Mark Abrams is on co-lead guitar, and he's been in the band for 5 years now. And then brand new is Mike Truscott on drums. He's brand new because he replaces Joe Crabtree, who had been in the band for many years, at least 15, and he left recently. So Mike is brand new into the band. I don't even know how many gigs he's played prior to last night.
Did you notice, Pete, how Bob, the bass player, I think he was cueing the drummer quite a bit. He was turning around, and even Andy would kind of turn around like, here we go. The changes come. But I thought he was on. I mean, for a guy, like you said, I don't know how long he's played with them, but I didn't really hear any missteps. I think one song had a little fall off at the end, but nothing you wouldn't recognize. So
yeah, my guess is he has jumped into the band on fairly short notice. Yeah, because there were times where if you didn't know that he was brand new to the band, you wouldn't have even guessed, right? But we got to, we were talking to one of your buddies beforehand, and he let us know of the drum change, because I hadn't even heard about this. So apparently it was really recently, and some of their tunes are a little tricky. So not surprising he had to get some cues.
Well, did you pick up the program?
I read it while I was sitting there, but I left it underneath my chair. Yeah,
because it still had the old drummer listed.
It still had Crabtree on it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it was really recent. So, but yeah, so from there they played the first 3 tracks, really good start to the show. And Andy, a lot of chatting on the microphone in between songs with the audience. He is considering that, like, back in the day, he wasn't the guy doing, most of the bulk of the singing and a lot of the audience stuff. He has turned into that guy. So he was cracking jokes and telling stories, and just a really good rapport with the audience. So he introduced, the whole 50 Years of Argus. We're going to play some tracks from the album. So they launched into The King Will Come, Warrior, and Throw Down the Sword, which for many people are, the 3, it's almost like a trio of songs. And that's the big kind of
staples,
fantasy tinged proggy hard rock staples of that particular album. And I thought they were great, and there's twin guitar harmony stuff going on all over the place. And I just really dug it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at actually a set list from 2 weeks ago, and there were the 4 tracks played in a row, not 3. So what we're missing from the set list from a couple of weeks ago, they actually played Sometime World also last night. So they played them out of order, which is kind of interesting. Sometime World was the last one, and that's my favorite of all of them. Really great. So we got 4 of those in a row, the first half of the set. And then they went and played Way Down South, which is from a more recent album, which I believe that's from Blue Horizon. Yeah, it's from Blue Horizon. And that is a really kind of cool song. And Andy kind of introduced it as, we're going to play like a kind of, what do you say, like a feel-good song, like something like that. And Way Down South is basically like that. It's kind of like their little Southern rock type of song, but it's got great guitar licks in it, and really good vocals, nice chorus. I like that song a lot.
I did too. I really like that one. And I didn't know that one either. So
yeah. And then we had We Stand as One, which is another really great track, I think. And that is from the most recent album, which is called Coat of Arms. And in fact, I think that the kickoff track on that album. We Stand as One. And that's got this really cool, like, little guitar lick in the beginning, which I think is pretty neat. So that was also played. I think we're missing something else. There was another, like, kind of.
Didn't they do Phoenix? That
They
was like the
did. Yeah, that's
long.
coming up. But I think there's another
Oh,
song
okay.
that I'm
Something
missing
like that.
here in the set list because they played another like lengthy track, and I'm trying to remember which song it was. Maybe there's another one from the new album. Let me just take a quick look here. I don't know. I'm missing a. Yeah, there's another lengthier song that they did before Phoenix. Anyway, I'll keep looking for it. But again, they played some newer tracks here, and then they also did "Standing in the Rain,"
Mhm.
another really cool song, and that is from, geez, which they played one song from the Strange. Was it Strange Affair? No, I'm trying to remember what the other album is. I did. It's funny. I did all this. They did a Nouveau Calls track, which I'm not finding it now. But anyway, bunch of different songs here. And then they played, they talked about as the end of the set. And they talked about the big epic that they've been playing since 1969. And it's going to be 15, 20 minutes long. And it features Mark, his co-lead guitar player. And then they launched into Phoenix from the debut album, which, for the most part is an instrumental, but there are some vocals in it. It's funny because in all my years of listening to that album and that song, I always have it in my head that it's an instrumental song. And it's really not. There are vocals in it. Not that it needs it, but that he was doing some stuff. And again, I've heard and seen this song played by other guitar players. And I thought he really hit on some really nice phrasing last night and some great effective use of like sustain and feedback, and did a really good job on it. Really good job on it.
Yeah, the feedback was awesome. And a lot of wah-wah he used. I don't know
he
about
did
that.
a lot. Yep, he did.
He used a lot of wah-wah.
Yeah, got a nice sound out of that old beat up little Gibson guitar he was playing, I thought.
Well, I saw the P90s and I thought maybe that's a nice contrast with Andy playing the humbuckers. And they both stood out. I mean, they both had a distinct tone and they were both using orange amps. I think they both had Fenders, but they
Fender
had
twins. Yeah, they each had, I think Mark had a Fender twin. I couldn't quite see what Andy was using, but it was a Fender.
Okay.
Yeah, and they both had the orange. Yeah, so they were both switching off. And I think on Phoenix, because Andy was playing Flying V's for the most of the set, and on Phoenix he pulled out a Strat, which I thought was kind of interesting. But again, there's a lot of those kind of weird chords and things during that song. So it was, and that was like 20 minutes long, I think.
Well, they were kind of teasing too. I don't know if it was true because they made it sound like they were going to extend the show. And then when they came out for the encore, he's like, must be if they've got people working or something, they've got to have them on a certain time limit. So,
yeah.
But I as he was talking, I'm like, oh, we're going to get a 2.5 hour show out of this,
Yeah, but not to be. So they finished with Phoenix, which was great, standing ovation. They walked out, came back like literally like a minute later, and they launched into Blowin' Free, which is basically their encore always. And that's kind of like this, their like little blues rock boogie type of track that everybody loves. And it's, again, kind of like a feel-good song. It's one of their early classics. And I don't think, God, have they ever played a show without Blowin' Free? Probably not. So I don't think they can go off the stage without playing that. Yeah, that's basically, that and Phoenix, I think, are a staple of every set. And good to hear the 4 other tracks from Argus and the selection of newer stuff, which I just thought it was a really good, really varied set. And I like these older bands like this who will come out and not give you the same old every single time, which I thought was really cool. And the audience seemed receptive to just about anything they played, which, I'm sure there were plenty sitting there last night in the Egg who are, 10, 15 years older than us, who haven't listened to any of their albums post like the late 70s. I'm sure of it. So I think that's a good thing about an older band like this coming out and playing some of the newer material for the older fans who maybe haven't kept up with the last 20 albums, and to say, oh, wow, those songs are really good. Maybe I should check out some of the catalog that I never bothered to listen to.
That's me, Pete.
Right.
I came away, I was a casual fan. I'm so excited. Like, I just ordered the 2 live albums you told me to get. And I'm going to go through and see what else, because that Enigma and Eyes Wide Open, both of those impressed me. And when they're similar. I mean, it's in that style, but still you're listening to songs you don't know. And I'm like, and granted, being there live, it's fantastic. But I was enjoying every minute of that. And I'm like, more guitar, just give me more guitar. They were just, and the chemistry seemed good. The bass, Bob and those guys up front, Andy and Mark, they were all having a blast, walking back and forth, looking at each other. But you love seeing that. And you think 50 years, you're like, wow, and I know it's only Andy that's been there at this point, but I'm like, an amazing run, for a band that's kind of stayed a little below the radar, I think, for most people, right? Even rock fans.
They really have, yeah, and yeah, you could definitely tell they were having fun. And I know personally, because I interviewed Andy here on the channel about, like a year and a half ago, at least, maybe it's even longer than that. And I remember Andy, for those watching, just go search it here on the channel. I did an interview with Andy Powell from Wishbone Ash. And I remember him telling me that, like, we don't know when we're going to get to play live again. We're all dying to get out on the road because this band tours all the time under normal circumstances, all over the world. And, he spoke about it last night, how they played like a little tour of the UK, which, they had to cancel a few things here and there, but for the most part, it went all right, he said. But they had a whole tour of Germany planned that they had to squash. And now they're here in the States and they've got like 45 dates, which is pretty good for them, I think.
I think so too.
But they're spacing them out.
I think he said, right, this was like the first third. Then they were going to have a little break and then they were going on. But yeah, I think he said 45. So
yeah,
that's a pretty good run.
Yeah, so that'll probably take them through to the the late spring, early summer, I would imagine. So so if you get a chance, folks, to check out Wishbone Ash live in concert, like Eric said, tons of guitar and really tasty guitar. This is not shredding stuff by any means. This is just really melodic, well thought out, twin guitar harmonies, some cool riffs, but man, just expert, classy playing from everybody in the band.
Absolutely. So, I went from fan to fan. So, that I came even this morning. I was up at 5:45 this morning getting ready for work, and I'm looking up live stuff. And I put on that California to Kawasaki, I think is what I was listening to. But yeah, they were just, I can't say enough. I was just so impressed.
So you got, so just so everybody knows, the two live albums that I recommended Eric get were the Live Dates 1 and Live Dates 2. So Live Dates 1 is from the first chapter of Wishbone Ash, and that features Ted Turner on co-lead guitars with Andy Powell. Live Dates 2 features Laurie Weisfield on co-lead guitar with Andy Powell. And both Laurie and Ted are very different from each other. And the songs covered on each of those live albums are different because they're, mainly taken from the era that each of those guitar players are from. So it'll be interesting once you've gotten them and you've had a chance to listen to both, to see what you think. Because again, you got the contrasting styles a little bit. And personally, again, I'm very much a fan of the first 4 or 5 Wishbone Ash albums. I think most people would agree that's their kind of the sweet spot. But I really like the albums that Laurie appeared on quite a bit. And I actually think the Live Dates 2 live album, for me, I like it a little bit more. I don't know why. I think the renditions of those songs on that live album are a little better than the live renditions of the stuff from the early albums on the first live album. Even though they're both terrific, I've often kind of compared the two of them, and I go for Live Dates 2, but they're both indispensable. So it'll be interesting to see what you think. So
I'll let you know. And I did check out their website. It looks like they have a series called Road Dates or something. They have a bunch of releases, so yeah, they definitely have a lot of live material available.
Oh, they do. Yeah, there's a lot of live albums there. So yeah, once you go down the Wishbone Ash rabbit hole, man, I have like almost a whole shelf of Wishbone Ash stuff down there. That's how much there is between all the studio albums and the live albums. It's like the rarities, and it's crazy. It's crazy, but a lot of it's a lot of fun. So
it was what is this, September 2020? It was worth the 1.5 year, 2 year wait. So it was good.
It is a long wait. I'm actually glad I got to see them on this go around, because I've other than the show I saw at the Town Crier a few years back, I've actually was supposed to go to like 3 other Wishbone Ash concerts in recent years, but something always seemed to happen. I remember, one time one of my dogs passed away that morning and I wasn't going anywhere. And another time something like a bad storm hit or something like that. I mean, it's always something going on. So I was sitting there the last couple of days. I'm like, God, I hope everything is copacetic for Wishbone, because I really do want to go. So, but I'm glad that we made it happen. So there you have it, everybody. So if you get a chance to go see Wishbone Ash on this short little tour, if you're here in the States, go check it out. If you've seen them recently, because I know the show that I was looking at, where I was getting the set list from, was from the Jim Thorpe Mouch Chunk Opera House, Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. That I guess was fair. That was February 25th. That was the most recent one that they're showing here. So yeah, go check it out and let us know what you think, because a great band, really good band, really good live, classy, really good melodic rock and roll. And Eric and I were talking before we went on about how do you classify these guys? You really can't. They're blues rock, but not. They're prog rock, but not. They're hard rock, but not. They're pop, but not. A little bit of jazz, but not. So like take all this stuff and throw it into a mixing bowl, and whoop, there you got Wishbone Ash, right? So
absolutely. And maybe that was the issue. There was never one. You couldn't say here's a hard rock band or a blues band. They just kind of cross over so much. Maybe it's hard to get it. I mean, they've obviously got a very hardcore following.
Yeah.
But maybe not as big as they would like, but still, I definitely came away much more impressed. So I'm looking forward to diving in and checking out some more stuff.
Cool. That's the important thing. So sounds good. Thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seeattranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. For Eric Porter, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching this latest concert review. We got more of them coming up in the coming weeks because it's concert season. There's a lot happening. So stay tuned for Martin Barr and Judas Priest and Steve Hackett and Queensryche and all sorts of other stuff in the weeks and months ahead. So take care, everybody. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.